This is the true crime story of a 5-year-old little girl that went missing while she was with her babysitter. And it is truly a crime story with a very strange twist that you won't see coming. Hello, my name is Holly, and this is the Murder She Shed, the place where we discuss the dead right from my she shed. And this case will make you see red. First, before we begin, hit that like and subscribe button for more rarely heard true crime cases right here in this she shed. Also, I'm going to issue a warning. If you are sensitive to child cases, skip this one, and I will see you next video. On June 22nd, 2016 at 3:33, officers were called to Hillcrest Manor Trailer Park in Minnesota for reports of a trailer on fire. Firemen had found a charred body inside of the trailer with a mattress over the top of her body. Her hands were bound with duct tape. It was suspected to be Melissa Norby, who was the owner of that trailer. Her body was sent off to the ME's office in order to ID her and perform an autopsy. As officers were still processing the scene, a woman named Amanda pulled up in the driveway stating that her 5-year-old daughter was in that trailer. Officers informed her no other bodies had been found in the trailer. Authorities then began looking the wooded area around the trailer for the 5-year-old named Brittany. Amanda, Brittany's mom, said she had spent the night at the trailer with Melissa, who was now deceased. Amanda said she was good friends with Melissa, and Brittany had spent the night there several times, like 20 times before. Amanda had been best friends with Melissa for 30 years. The results came back from the ME's office, and the body had been Melissa's, and she had been strangled to death before the trailer was lit on fire. And as always, when children are missing, the parents become the first suspects. Amanda and Brittany's father were interviewed, and their phones were searched. It didn't take long for authorities to realize they were not involved in any way. So now they did not know where to look from here until police started talking to possible witnesses. And one of them was very interesting. It was Melissa's friend. She said that Melissa had started dating a guy named Jake, and he had blue eyes. And then this friend would throw a bombshell at them. She stated Melissa was very into daddy little girl scenarios that she would play out with Jake. At times, the sex was rough and had even turned violent. The friend thought the relationship had ended with him punching her and choking her out and putting her over the back of the SUV and RAPing her. That might end it for me. Or most normal people, anyway. Other witnesses reported that this Jake had a food truck called Jake Eats. Through this, authorities were able to find out who the food truck was licensed through and found out the man's name was Jacob William Kinn. After finding out where he lived, they drove to his house, but Jake was nowhere to be found. Officers were very concerned at this point because they knew exactly who Jacob Kinn was. He was currently on probation and was a sexual predator. They had set up a sting in the past after finding images on his phone involving 7 different children. One of the female officers pretended to be a mom of a girl that she was going to let Jake use in a photo shoot. This is what he was currently on probation for. Jake's probation officers called him to come in for a police interview. Here is a piece of their first interview.
And this little girl somewhere, whether she's alive, whether she's gone, we have an obligation to everyone to bring her home. Jake, if you could help us with that in any way.
I would if I could, but I don't know what you said.
Jake, if you could, three of us together, let's bring this little girl home. Let's bring her to her parents. They need the closure.
Simmer, I don't know where she's at. I don't have her thing that sketches where I was tonight.
That's the big issue.
Yeah.
That's a huge issue.
I can't explain that. I
That's
where I was.
And that's our worry. Jake, if you did something to this little girl,
that wouldn't happen. What you have is a bunch of people saying I'm dating her, which happened before when she told people I was dating her.
No, this is just recent stuff.
Yeah, and it's not dating, it's just sex.
Yeah, Jake, it's rough sex. And, if she got choked down and she died in an accident, let's talk about that. Let's fix it. Okay, let's fix it. Okay?
She was into bondage, she was into rough sex.
If this little girl, you panicked and did something to her, maybe she's okay. Maybe we can get her home.
I hope she is okay.
So do
I didn't do anything.
But if she's not okay, we can explain that too.
I didn't do anything to her, and I hadn't seen her.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I can't help you find her. But today I was working, yesterday I was working, and I was fishing. And I haven't seen either one of them or talked to either one of them.
Jake, your cell phone.
I don't know who it was.
Your cell phone is not even close to where you say you're fishing. That's concerning to us.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I can't explain it.
You should have been within a 5-mile radius of where you were fishing, and it's not. It's like 40 miles away.
Like I said, yeah, that's concerning, because I kind of like, oh, what was he doing?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't explain it, because I was freaking fishing.
After examining Jake's phone that he did leave with officers, they discovered it contained numerous photos of child graphic images. And there were actually explicit text messages between Melissa and Jake. And they were able to recover these, and it showed Melissa had plotted with Jake to kidnap Brittany. It appeared the two adults had apparently been attempting to acquire the child for the purpose of SA. The pair also discussed scenarios on how to cover up the assault. It showed Jake had searched the internet on his cell phone on how to get a drug known as roofies and horse tranquilizers. He had researched the address of the girl's family's home. Officers were able to get the look of the underside of Jake's vehicle before he left. The tires were very muddy and long grass was stuck underneath. They now knew from the pings on the phone he had been in the Big Fork area. It was already dark, but two of the officers headed that way anyway to start looking for Brittany. They didn't want to give Jake more time with the little girl if she was still alive. Authorities didn't even know where to begin until they found out Jake had relatives that lived in the Big Fork area, and it was just about 3 miles from where Jake's phone had pinged. So they started searching their relatives' land. The two officers found tire tracks that had went down a muddy gravel road. Luckily, it just rained. And then this muddy track trailed off into some tall grass, which matched the undercarriage of Jake's truck. So they knew they were getting hot. So they took this path and then suddenly seen a camper in the distance. As they walked up to the camper, they noticed that the door was duct taped shut and wondered if Brittany was even in there and would she be alive if she was. They took off the tape and slowly opened the door. One of the officers stepped up into the camper, and there, laying on a bed, was Brittany, and she was alive. Brittany's legs, feet, and mouth was taped, and she was wearing her pajamas. She had tape marks all over her little body and told the officers the only thing that hurt were her arms, where she had cuts and bruises on them. So as they started untaping her, this brave little girl started telling her story. The officers noticed blood on the mattress and knew that this 5-year-old had been RAPE'd. As they were leaving, a picture was taken of her and one of the officers. This is the picture. He sent the picture to the other officers working on the case and then texted arrest him. They found Jake in his father's truck heading to that land where he had left Brittany. The officers had saved her just in the nick of time. One last interview was done where Jake did admit to what he had done at this point. Jake admitted that he had been in a relationship with Melissa before, about a year ago, and at that time had an encounter where him and Melissa had sex while Brittany was in the room with them, and they had forced her to get nude. Him and Melissa had just recently got back together because he had a goal. Even though he was not attracted to Melissa, he wanted to get a hold of Brittany, and even as they were planning, Jake knew he would not leave Melissa alive as a witness. Jake stated that while Brittany was in the next room from them, he had murdered Melissa. So he had tied up Melissa because they had formed a plan that to make it look like a stranger had broke in and abducted Brittany, they would tie her up. After tying her up, Melissa had willingly had sex at that time. Then Jake grabbed his belt and started choking Melissa till he saw bloody spittle come out her mouth. He then left with Brittany and took her to his house where he tied her up and left her. He then grabbed some gas cans, returned to the trailer, and lit it on fire. He went back home where he RAPE'd this little 5-year-old little girl and then put her in his vehicle and drove her out to the camper, way out there into the woods, where he assaulted her again and then told her he wouldn't be back as she was laying tied up in the bed with no food and water. Can you imagine how terrified she must have been when he left her in that dark camper? Here is a piece of his confession interview.
You see her, she didn't come to your poop station, you didn't see her at Melissa's house, you don't know her parents, and there's going to be no connection between you and her. And
Wasn't whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. So, okay.
then no connection between you and Melissa.
No, not at all.
Well, I mean, when I say connection, there's going to be evidence that says you were in Melissa's house.
Okay.
And that gas can that we talked about, showed you a picture. Is that any of your evidence going to be on that DNA or fingerprints? So nothing's changed from last night. 100% sure?
What changed between 2 hours ago and now? Is that the 5% that you're talking about that you're not sure?
Now, let's start over.
We know more than you think we do right now. And now is the time for you to come clean. We weren't dating, but we actually had a sexual relationship where we lived.
played in, what was her role? Daddy, daughter, that kind of stuff. Okay. Then I went over there the other night, trying to set up a long good showing him out. Did you go there for her or for Melissa? It was for Melissa, but it was. Did you know that she was going to be there? Yeah.
Thank God Brittany did not have to testify during court, but she did write a letter to this monster. Brittany's letter that was read to the court said to Jake, "I hate you. I do not want to play with you or for you to play with me, but thank you for letting me play with your kitties." Because Brittany loved animals, he had bribed her with baby kittens he had at his house. You know I love my animals, and that devastated me to hear that he used animals to do this to her. What a horrible, horrible man. Although he deserves to rot in prison, he only received 52 years because he received second-degree unintentional murder charges. They feared if contested, the defense could prove that it was an accidental death due to Melissa liking to get choked. He will be 82 years old when released, but I doubt he makes it that far in prison as a pedophile. He also received charges of kidnapping and first-degree criminal sexual conduct. I am showing pictures of Brittany, but because of her privacy, I prefer to blur her face, although they are widely available on the internet. I just didn't feel right exposing her. She has already been victimized enough. Brittany's mother said, "The strength that radiates from her is unbelievable. She is truly an unbelievable little girl that, by the way, is now 10 years old and doing great. I wish her the most amazing life and glad she made it through that traumatic experience. And I am happy this was one video where the child survived." Well, guys, hope your week is going grand. I love y'all, and don't forget to hit that like before you leave. I work extremely hard on these videos to bring you all the info I can. And if you're not subscribed yet, push that too, because you know you're going to want to hear from this southern gal again. Well, catch you later. Love y'all. Bye. Simon back there chewing on a treat. He's a big peanut butter fan. He's eating the crumbs now. Don't blame him. Peanut butter is really good. And one of Melissa's friends said something and as always, when children are missing their parents, so they knew they were getting hot. Some like it hot. Isn't that a song? Some like it hot. Never mind. Here's his nose. Here's his nose. He's hiding today. He's a hiding boy. He's a tired boy. Plus he's had a treat. He's had 2 4-wheeler rides. He's a spoiled pup. What can I say? Who says women aren't always right? This is my beautiful Samo boy, and he's just gorgeous. Look at them eyes. He's my little friend. Yes, he's a good boy. Oh, you're in my corner. You're in my microphone. What's going on right here? You've got a mess going, Bubba. Oh my God, I don't know how he got in this shape, but he's wrapped like 100 times into my microphone. Oh God, you just unplugged me. See how big he is? Oh God, it's 80 pounds of pure joy and love, and he's the smallest of my dogs. And the youngest baby. Yeah, he used to baby the family. He needs to go for it. Yeah, alright, bye.